to a wonderful event, the celebration of Korean American Day. I'm Jack Fletcher, the president of the Korean Economic Institute. KEI, as you may know, is a nonprofit public policy organization created to promote dialogue and understanding between the United States and Korea. And I can think of no better way to highlight the importance of U.S.-Korea relations than to celebrate the accomplishments that Korean Americans have made to the United States. And this is the third year, as you know, that KEI has sponsored this event. It's growing and growing. We thank you very much for attending. It is a testament to your value of the contributions and accomplishments of almost 2 million Korean Americans in the United States. In December 2005, the House and Senate passed separate resolutions designating January 13th as Korean American Day, so they can honor the contributions of Americans whose heritage began in Korea. The Senate resolution was introduced by former Virginia Senator George Allen. The House resolution was also by a Virginian, Mr. Tom Davis. I'm from Virginia, so there must be a connection there. But before we get underway, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize a delegation of 9 members of the Korean National Assembly that are here with us today. And we are absolutely honored that they can be here to participate, to witness this, and to understand the robust relationship that we have with Korea, in part through the wonderful contributions of our Korean American colleagues. I also need to point out that we have here honored with us today is the Korean Ambassador, His Excellency Han Duck-soo, the Republic of Korea. Thank you very much. As you know, each year we've asked 3 distinguished Korean Americans to join us so we can share with you their story of accomplishment that typifies the hard work of Korean Americans throughout the United States. This year we have somewhat of a theme in that we have chosen 3 Korean Americans who are members of the Obama administration. Each in their own right has a significant story. But to start our program, I'm very proud to introduce an accomplished Korean American on KEI staff, Ms. Florence Lowe-Lee. Now, I was doing something the other day, and somebody handed me a piece of paper and it had Florence, treasurer, and director of budget and finance. I said, well, yes, she is a treasurer, but actually she's our treasurer. Prior to joining KEI, Ms. Lowe-Lee worked as Deputy Director of Operations of the Massachusetts Senate Ways and Means Committee. Ms. Lowe-Lee holds a bachelor's in neuroscience from Mount Holyoke College and received an MA in Industrial Organization and Psychology from Columbia University. And I have no idea why she landed it, but I am very proud that she did.
Because our former president, Rob Warren, hired me, and he gets no credit. And Jack and Joe, they kept me at KEI for this long. Thank you. I'm going to read the Senate Resolution. Senate Resolution 283, recognizing the contribution of Korean Americans to the United States and encouraging the celebration of Korean American Day. Whereas on January 13, 1903, the arrival of 102 pioneer immigrants to the United States initiated the first chapter of Korean immigration to the United States. Whereas members of the early Korean American community served with distinction in the armed forces of the United States during World War I, World War II, and the conflict in Korea. Whereas in the early 1950s, thousands of Koreans fleeing from war, poverty, and desolation came to the United States seeking opportunities. Whereas Korean Americans, like the wave of immigrants to the United States before them, have taken root and thrived as a result of strong family ties, robust community support, and countless hours of hard work. Whereas the contribution of Korean Americans to the United States include invention of the first beating heart operation for coronary artery heart disease, development of the nectarine, a four-time Olympic gold medalist, and achievements in engineering, architecture, medicine, acting, singing, sculpture, and writing. Whereas Korean Americans play a crucial role in maintaining the strength and vitality of the United States-Korean partnership. Whereas the centennial year of 2003 marked an important milestone in the now more than 100-year history of Korean immigration. And whereas the Centennial Committee of Korean Immigration and Korean Americans have designated January 13th of each year as Korean American Day to memorialize the more than 100-year journey of Korean Americans in the United States. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Senate, 1, supports the goals and idea of the Korean American Day, 2, commemorates the 103rd anniversary of the arrival of the first Korean immigrants to the United States, and 3rd, encourage the people of the United States to A, share in such commemoration in order to greater appreciate the valuable contributions the Korean Americans have made to the United States, and B, observe Korean American Day with the appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities.
Well, I think clearly this is an appropriate program to celebrate the accomplishments of our Korean Americans. Florence, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now, you're going to find in your program an abbreviated biographies of our distinguished guests and honorees in the program. Now, what I wanted to say a few words about each before I ask them to share with you their experiences and accomplishments as Korean Americans. But I urge you to go online and learn more about them. And as I was preparing today, that's what I did. And I was stunned by the depth of the accomplishments of each of these honorees. And I know that this story is repeated over and over again throughout America. And we're so much the richer for it. I'm going to just briefly describe each of our honorees, and I'm going to ask them to come up and share with you a few minutes of their thoughts. Dr. Howard Koh is the Assistant Secretary for Health for the Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. Koh served as Commissioner of Public Health for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts from 1997 to 2003. He was named by the New England Division of the American Cancer Society as one of the most influential persons in the fight against tobacco in the last 25 years. He was also named K100. Now, what that is a list of the leading 100 Korean Americans in the first century of Korean immigration in the United States. David Kim is Deputy Assistant Secretary for Governmental Affairs at the Department of Transportation. Before entering the advocacy arena, David spent a decade serving on the staff of numerous elected officials in Los Angeles, Sacramento, and Washington. David is actively involved in the Korean American and Asia Pacific American communities. He served as president of the Korean American Coalition, Washington, D.C. area chapter, and continues to play an active role as a board member. Our third speaker is Mr. Kwon. He's the Deputy Chief of the FCC's Consumer and Governmental Affairs Division, or Affairs Bureau. He's an attorney, having received his degree from Yale. He clerked for Judge Parker of the Second Circuit of the Second Court of Appeals, and was also a legislative aide to Senator Joe Lieberman. As a student, he earned recognition as in both academics, Phi Beta Kappa, and community service, the James Lyons Award. Now, you may know him best as the winner of Survivor Cook Islands, but I assure you, as I was going through many pages of the internet, while that's a very impressive accomplishment, and none of us in this room have done it, but that has to be the least of its many accomplishments. Dr. Koh, if I could ask you to lead on, please.